sing the thunder song.
Wait.
When you hear the sound of thunder, don't you get too scared. Just grab your Thunder Buddy and say these magic words.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of Thunder Buddies podcast, trade deadline edition. We're sitting here on, Tuesday, right about noon on Tuesday. Trade deadline now 50 hours away, 2 p.m. Central Time on Thursday. We got in the studio Eric Horn, as always, and an old friend, Darnell Mayberry. Now he's web extraordinaire, Darnell Mayberry. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How was your trip to Toronto?
Interesting. First All-Star. It's just, I wrote about it, obviously, for the blog that I posted, but it's just, to have the first All-Star weekend and trying to figure all that out at the same time of trying to figure out how to travel within Toronto, it was tough. Just, my phone's off. My phone's in airplane mode, basically, for 2 days, for 2 hours less than the 2 days it should have been. And just, trying to navigate from wireless port to wireless port and, get Ubers and battle this crazy cold. I've never experienced. What's the coldest you've ever been?
It was All-Star weekend last year in New York City.
What was the temperature?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look it up, but it was cold. I don't believe it was quite as cold as Toronto.
No shot.
It was cold.
I'm a West Coast guy. I've obviously lived here.
Yeah.
So it's not like I have a ton of data to base it
off. You didn't
off.
grow up with that.
But it is by 100% the coldest I've ever been. Especially Saturday, it was like -12. During the day. This isn't 4 a.m. But I'm just saying. So I can't base it off a ton of things. But even talking to media members that live in New York, Howard Becks, those kind of guys, they were like, this is a different level. It was crazy. So anyway, and then you just got all the conversion rates of the money and just all the different type of new challenges of going through customs and all the international feel to it, plus All-Star weekend where you're going to all these events and how wild those events can be. It's not very conducive to fantastic journalism, but it's a good time.
I was gonna say, did you have a good time?
Yeah.
After you filed your story, did your selfie videos, did you have a good time?
My selfie videos. I had a good time doing the story, covering the events, doing the selfie videos, and even after, I didn't delve, obviously, too deep into, night activities, and I don't plan
activities
on the blog, and I don't really plan to in the podcast, but it was, good time.
Okay.
How better question, how did you enjoy not being at All-Star Weekend? That's the first one in a while you weren't at.
I actually was at a marriage convention with my wife in Tulsa this weekend, so I didn't see any of All-Star Weekend.
Lifestyle change.
It's a completely different change. Life is a lot of things done changed. So Friday night I was in that. Saturday I missed the entire dunk contest. I checked my phone one time and people are saying it's the best dunk contest ever, and I'm thinking, what did I miss?
Yeah, one thing with the dunk contest these days is you can almost watch it mobily, where Aaron Gordon had a crazy dunk. Within a minute, you're going to see a vine of it.
But it's different, though, than actually, especially I can speak to this from covering last year's event at Barclays Center. When you're there and someone puts on a show like Zach LaVine did last year, and from what I hear this year, him and Aaron Gordon.
Gordon put on the show. LaVine was good.
It's a buzz about it when you're watching these guys do these incredible dunks in real time. Whether you're on television or you're there in the building, it's just something about watching it in real time that you don't get going back and experiencing it, watching the replay of it.
What I think they should have is they should set up a camera that's focused strictly on the players during the dunks, the players on the sideline, and it'll be the player cam to when they show a dunk, when a guy hits a dunk, they show the players grabbing each other and mugging and stuff like that. When that guy, that super leapy, jumpy, I'm gonna say he's a white guy.
You talking about the Suns dance team guy, or not?
I guess that guy jumped over.
It was their trampoline team. Did you guys see that?
I saw that. Yeah, I saw it in your blog post. Who is that guy?
That guy was.
It was
ridiculous.
just how during the All-Star weekend or All-Star game they have every time out it's a different random thing. Here's the All-Star dance team where it's one dancer from each team, or the mascots, but they're not mascots. They're the float versions of the mascots. They just jump around and do weird stuff.
Air Rumble, those.
Yeah, Air Rumble was actually at All-Star Weekend. There was that, and then at one point, it was like, I guess it was like the all-star trampoline dunk team was the Suns. Maybe they're the best one. But they went out and they were doing all these trampoline dunks. It was like, oh, this is a great time and everything. And then at the end, they said, all right, he's going to do like a real dunk. And like trampoline was out of the way.
Hey,
and then, you guys
they could have put him in the actual dunk contest.
That dude didn't use a trampoline. And
that was probably better than Aaron Gordon's dunk. The way he like...
Hey, at this point, we've all seen a lot of halftime entertainment, timeout entertainment. None of those trampoline guys can actually jump that dude was a different kind of cat.
And like Dwayne Wade and them, like if you saw it on like TNT, they were like grabbing each other, like
where did they get
that? Wasn't just Dwayne Wade on TNT. That was the crowd. That was the media section. Because like, okay, Aaron Gordon dunk contest. You're sitting there like, oh, what's he gonna do? So you're kind of expecting it. You're just like, oh, what's this like? What's the next act they're doing at timeout? You're like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. They're on trampolines, whatever. And it's like, this guy's going to dunk. And you're like, okay, he could probably like get up and dunk a little bit. And then he did that. It was like, whoa. Yeah, it was.
Okay, Slater, one thing, you've covered it now. You've watched it, grown up watching the All-Star Weekend. You've covered it, your first one. One thing you would change about it, one thing that you wouldn't change, that you like, that you really like, and one thing that you'd change.
From like a selfish standpoint, or
yes,
okay, the media access. It's a globalization of, the game, and they want to promote it, and so there's like so many people credentialed, but the Saturday media access was just pointless,
yeah,
in so many ways. I mean, all these guys are taking their time out and talking to the media, but like, there's not one substantial quote coming out of it. The only quotes coming out are like funny little quips that somebody like responded to a weird question with her. Even the Westbrook, it actually became a blog post that I'm sure it got a lot of hits on the web, was him talking about the Lakers.
Right.
But that wasn't like some journalistic inquiry.
Right. Media, forget all of that. We know that. Nobody cares about that. About the actual events, what's one thing that you would change?
Well, first of all, one thing I like. Well, okay, I wouldn't put the celebrity game and the Rising Stars game so close together.
Yep.
If people want to go to both, that was tough. I knew a guy that was there just like traveling to the game, and he had to leave the celebrity game in like the first half. You really got to be like a junkie to want to go to both those, but I think that bothered some people a little bit. One thing I like, I like the setup of the practice. I was talking to some people, and it's by far the cheapest event, and it's like an intimate setting, and like what a lot of these fans are there for this weekend is to get a glimpse of these people in their town that they've never seen. And we get lost a lot of times because we see these guys all the time, and they're just regular dudes. But to a lot of these fans, it's like just even like the sight of LeBron James right there in their eye vision is like a huge memorable thing. And I think the practice in like a smaller arena where they're just joking around, they're doing Jumbotron, they're going over and interacting with the crowd a little bit. To me, that is the best, I guess, bang for your buck of the weekend, even though nobody would think that.
Yeah.
What about you? I mean, you've been to more than me.
For a while, it was a dunk contest, but, I mean, that thing has come back strong thanks to Zach LaVine and now Aaron Gordon. So, I don't know. I didn't get to see the skills challenge this year and how they did that. I mean,
Saturday night was easily the best event.
Yeah.
The most interesting, fun. I mean, they hit with the skills challenge was mildly interesting. Then the Draymond Green Kevin Hart thing happens. Then obviously 3-point shootout has a crazy ending, and the dunk contest was great. The All-Star game sucked. I mean, I don't really know how you fix that. I mean, they try their best to still make it an entertaining night as far as the concerts and everything, but
it's good for little kids. The actual All-Star game, it's good for little kids who are oohing and eyeing at deep three-pointers and amazing athleticism on dunks. But it's horrible. I mean, to actually sit there and watch 2 hours of that is a waste of time.
It was ugly from sitting at home standpoint to watch Russell Westbrook basically just not take the entire thing seriously at all. It was just like, man. I watch him take the game seriously all the time. Every time we watch him with the Thunder.
You didn't like him jacking 15 threes in 11 second-half minutes?
Yeah, and then
I enjoyed that.
And then like the whole him screwing up, trying to throw alley-oops to himself off the rim and off the backboard. It's like, man, just nah. But like it was fun to see that little spurt of him and Durant like kind of taking mini control and doing their little 3 or 4 dunks in a row. That was cool, to see them team up and kind of stamp their thunderness on the game.
That's the one thing that I would try to change. I would try to bring some sort of competitiveness to that game.
My question,
I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, my question is,
I would try to make it more competitive.
Because you're putting it in the middle of like a super competitive season where these guys are drained, where you can question their effort in the All-Star game, but these top-level players, you can't question how hard Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, or all the Warriors or these guys go during the entire first half of the season, which I think everyone can admit the NBA schedule is too long, too grueling, too packed in. They're trying to like solve that in a lot of ways. And with this is their only break, so then to ask them to like...
I got it. You were there in the building. I mean, even on television, you can see how much marketing goes into the All-Star weekend. And when you're in the building, there's an ad for something every 5 seconds. Simply donate $1 million to the winning team's charity. That's all. That's how. I mean, it's an easy.
I mean, it would probably
solution.
Like,
it will
zip it up a little, especially in the fourth,
which is more than
you're right.
What it is now.
I guess what people at this point just want it to get back to like 2002 version where there was just at this point it's just like go dunk, we'll go dunk, you go dunk, we'll go dunk.
You could go all MLB with it and give home court advantage.
No, you cannot. You cannot do that. And Anthony's probably the biggest baseball fan. You could probably speak to that. They probably should get rid of that.
Yeah,
that's terrible. That was one of the worst. I still hate that so much.
The funny thing is, the MLB All-Star Game actually provides the best setting for an All-Star Game. I mean, everyone knows how bad the Pro Bowl is, and the All-Star Game's kind of got to that level. The MLB, I mean, like, I don't know. You can't like lollygag in the MLB because like some pitcher who throws 94 is not going to suddenly just like, here's a 72 mile an hour one. You know what I mean? Like, so those guys, like the MLB All-Star Game is actually a good game.
Well, which would be another idea you could. I mean, I think of the one-on-one matchups you have in the MLB All-Star Game. Great pitcher, closer against great hitter, and you want to see these guys go against each other when you don't see that normally in the regular season every so often. So, what do y'all think about the idea of turning the NBA All-Star Game into like maybe a 3-on-3 competition with like split teams, like guys picking teams? You do a 3-on-3,
take 4 of those guys off the court. Give me a one-on-one. Give me one-on-one. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I mean, those are honestly the best moments of the game when Kobe gets Pow, in the post one-on-one, or you got LeBron and LeBron slapping the floor. Those are the best moments of the game. But I mean, you're still gonna have a foul. I mean, regardless, if it's suddenly 3-on-3, these guys are not like locking in.
Right.
I mean, I think the biggest indication that it's to the point of no return, it's always going to be kind of terrible. It's like Kawhi Leonard's out there like dogging, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a guy, he didn't even like, he's like, it's just within the culture of the game. It's like, nobody's trying. Don't try. If you try, like people are just going to be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But, all right, probably enough on the All-Star Game. You know what the people came to listen to. Wild trade rumors, speculation. Potential things. Darnell, you did something last week, right? You like threw you're a braver man than me. You threw it out to the fans and said, give me your best trade ideas.
Yeah. And I think people were extremely receptive to it. Got a ton of responses, and I think people really appreciated us trying to involve the readers more. So got a lot of suggestions, obviously a lot of silly ones, but some really interesting ones too. So I'm going to actually be posting that a little later today, time permitting. So we can talk about it now.
Number one question, what do you think the traffic for the ESPN like trade machine
It's insane.
is this time of
People
year?
will sit on that thing for hours and just make up trades that aren't going to happen.
I'm just kind of ready for 2:01 p.m. on Thursday to come.
That might be when it hits the fan.
Yeah, that's true.
Just like
Sometimes
last year.
It like lingers past. But I just mean to where the rumors are done, what these teams can and can't add or whatever. Like everyone kind of knows their team. I mean, obviously buyouts can still happen and stuff like that, but it just kind of ends the speculation of it all. But with that being said, we're about to spend however long, 30 minutes
Speculating.
What do you want to do? Most ridiculous to least ridiculous, or you're the one with all the all this gold over there.
All right, let me pull this up here. I will give you a couple of ridiculous ones that people threw out, if I can find it.
This is a man who hasn't podcasted in a while. He's not prepared. He's coming in here.
Sleeping on the podcast. It's okay.
Trades. There we go. Okay, here we go.
What's one that's like pretty unrealistic, but it like caught your attention? It's like, both sides like this.
Kyle Singler and Anthony Morrow for. No, I'm sorry. Kyle Singler, Anthony Morrow, Steven Adams for Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, the Timberwolves.
Okay, we can
bogus.
That.
It caught my attention. It caught my attention.
Yeah, we can slice some of those out of the way.
Yeah, there were a couple like people trying to get Pau Gasol, and I obviously don't think the Bulls are going to trade him, but people trying to get him. Ibaka and some throw in for Jimmy Butler's more unrealistic stuff like that. Like that's the stuff that obviously Thunder fans are going to try to do, and no other team is going to do that.
All right, give me a little bit of an out of the box one, but you think's like a realistic.
All right, realistic is hard. That's a tough word because we all
give me one that's not like Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins coming to the Thunder for like.
We pretty much agree they're not going to trade Serge Ibaka, right? But the most intriguing ones to me all include Serge Ibaka.
Well, guess what? I want to have this discussion because I know you kind of are on the other side of the fence where you think that maybe they should trade Serge Ibaka, so we can have this
all right,
debate.
Here's one that I thought was extremely intriguing. Serge Ibaka and Andre Robertson for Thaddeus Young and Rondae Hollis-Jefferson.
I think that's a brutal trade
for the Thunder.
Yeah.
Right. I disagree.
Serge Ibaka is a way better player than Thaddeus.
He is. I'm thinking of it within a box. I'm thinking of it strictly Golden State related. That's how I'm thinking of it. And if I think about it that way, then I'm not giving Serge Ibaka enough credit for what he does. The Thunder would hang up, but I'm thinking of it from a Golden State standpoint. Those two guys, if you let Thaddeus Young,
you get two more perimeter defenders,
Rondae Hollis-Jefferson get at the Warriors. That's one extra guy you can throw on Steph or Clay. There's one extra guy you can.
Well, guess what? Guess what, boys? You just traded Andre Robertson for Rondae Hollis-Jefferson. You just gave up the same. Hollis-Jefferson has a better long-term future, but offensively, right now in a Warrior series, he's the same as Andre Robertson. You think he's going to start stroking threes?
Yeah, but here's the thing about Andre Robertson, and I realize that scenario, you're giving up your two best defenders, right? But here's the thing about Andre Robertson. I believe it's both of you guys who don't even believe that he's going to get his starting job back when he gets back healthy.
Yeah, and I don't think Rondae Hollis-Jefferson should come as. All I'm saying is like.
So you might get a potentially better down the line. He might be better than Andre Robertson in a year or two. And we know that both their offensive games are horrible, but I'm intrigued.
Serge Ibaka is way more important in a Warrior series than Thaddeus Young would be.
I don't know about that. I really don't know about that.
Why?
Because Serge Ibaka, his biggest strength is negated against the Warriors.
No, I think
Harrison Barnes is going to suck him away from the basket. He cannot guard Draymond Green. He's a shot blocker. Defensively, he's not going to be able to have the same impact against the Warriors that he has against other teams because of their small ball. And if you want to play, the Thunder did play big against the Warriors effectively, but I don't think you can leave Steven Adams and Serge Ibaka on the floor against the Warriors for long stretches.
I actually think Serge Ibaka is way important because he can get. I understand that
Thaddeus Young can guard those guys better than Serge Ibaka.
You know what Thaddeus? I think Serge Ibaka is much better than Thaddeus Young at he gets switched onto a Klay Thompson or just for a possession. Not that he's guarding them, but and he can stay with them on a drive. He's not a big man that'll just get basically Enes Kanter to the rim.
Who's that?
Ibaka won't.
You're right.
I think he's better than Thaddeus Young on a guard. And then I still think you like what he provides offensively. I understand. Look, let's just get some things out of the way with Serge Ibaka. His rebounding has declined, and he's not what you want to see out of your traditional power forward as a rebounder. But guess what?
That ship sailed a long time ago.
It sailed a long time ago, and another thing is the Thunder is a historically good rebounding team. They don't need him to mash the glass because they have the best rebounding point guard since Jason Kidd.
Yeah,
they have a good two-guard rebounder in Robertson.
Right.
Durant is a very high-level 3 rebounder.
Right.
Steven Adams, solid center rebounder. And his Kanter off the bench, historically good rebounder.
But here's the problem with your argument. You're mentioning rebounding. I didn't say anything about rebounding. I said his defense.
Well, I said
his defense gets
No,
negated
you're right.
against that team, and offensively, he's not nearly as impactful or skilled enough to warrant being on the floor in those lineups. Because he can't take advantage of smaller players. Like when James Harden guards him for an entire contest. Like that can't happen.
The interesting thing I've thought about the Serge Ibaka argument this year is, I mean, we can't question his defensive credentials in his Thunder tenure. He's been one of the best defensive players they've had. But it's like there have been times this year where their defense has been bad with him on the court. And I know that's part of an adjustment that he has to make, get into this new system or whatever. But like, it's intriguing to think how much worse the defense could actually get with him not there. There have been stretches where Billy Donovan's had to sit him or said, all right, go take a seat, Serge. And the Thunder's been able to ward off some teams at times and throwing Enes Kanter out there. I'm not saying that you could do that over the stretch at the end of the season and in the playoffs, particularly in the playoffs. That's what's most important. I think you're going to definitely need Serge Ibaka in the playoffs. But I think where a lot of this comes from is their defense hasn't been good with them there.
And I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying. Devil's advocate to that argument is people would say, and Barry Trammell has said this to us in the office, to me in the office, and Mike Sherman, if it's not good with him there, how much worse will it be without him? And that's the counter argument. I just believe that you adapt, you adjust, and you adapt. You figure out a different way of playing. The Thunder's done it before. I mean, they've lost integral pieces before, and they've still become better as a team.
Yeah, I think one of my issues with the Ibaka criticism is that I think you a little bit and some other people still see 2012-13 Ibaka, and it's like, and that makes you like...
Yeah, and I'm hoping that the Nets see that too.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm just saying, and like expect that to come back where you just kind of need to appreciate what he is now and understand that he still is like super helpful now, even if he's not the player he was or the player people want him to be with, post up, this and that. I'm looking at Thaddeus Young's stats right now, and two things concern me. In a Warrior series and in any series.
He's not a great shooter.
Not a great 21%
three-point shooter.
This year?
Yes, 21% three-point shooter this year, 32% for his career.
Yeah.
Look, I understand Serge Ibaka's offensive numbers are down, but what you need to remember, the Thunder offense is like incredible right now, and some of that is what Ibaka provides at the four, which is spacing. That's what Billy Donovan needs for him to run those Russell Westbrook pick and rolls with Adams, diving, Kanter out there, Durant spread. I mean, Ibaka's important even when he doesn't shoot.
Yeah. Now, Rondé Hollis Jefferson does have the issue with his fractured ankle. He's out right now.
Oh, just that little
he'll
issue.
He'll be back. I mean,
just
Durant
that little
showed
issue
you
with
that. He'll be back.
When the Thunder's, in the face of the
Andre
most
Robertson's also out, by the way.
Yeah,
in case
I know.
You didn't
I'm just saying. He just has that little minor problem.
Just so people don't know that I didn't think of that. It's an issue.
The other Thaddeus Young issue is he blocks per game 0.4. He doesn't block shots.
Right.
I understand what you're saying with like Ibaka is negated a little bit against the Warriors, but at the same time, like you still need a shot blocker out there. I know he doesn't get the chances, and he is going to have to spread out to shooters, and Warriors will strategize around that. But even having him looming, there are times in the game where he'll get a big block.
Yeah, he did against the Warriors. He was quiet all night, and then he had two big ones late.
Yeah, so like even though like his skill set may not perfectly fit, I don't like that trade. I really don't like that.
Okay, all right.
And that includes most of the other ones that include Serge Ibaka.
I'm not saying I would do that trade. I'm saying I am very, very intrigued by that trade. And shout out to Michael Quails. I wrote these people's names down because these are the people who actually presented them to me. So, Michael Quails, thanks for playing along. Here's another one for you. Ibaka. There's going to be a theme here. See if you pick up on it. Ibaka and Waiters for Paul Millsap.
Okay.
Eric is intrigued.
That's intriguing.
You know where that presents a huge issue? I know you guys are not huge on Dion Waiters, but now you really don't.
I'm not unhuge on Dion Waiters.
Now you really do not have a
Yeah, don't speak for us. I kind of like him. I mean, I don't love him, but
well,
you're right. I'm not huge on him, but
what I'm saying is like now you really don't have a two guard. I mean, you need to get a wing somehow if that trade went down.
Personally, I'm in the keep Dion Waiters camp for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
just laying that down. I'm in the keep Dion Waiters camp. I love some Paul Millsap, however.
I think if you went Ibaka for Millsap straight up, I'm not sure the Thunder would do that because
I'm not sure the Hawks would do that.
I don't think the Hawks would do that. I think the Thunder would probably be more likely
Both
to do that.
teams say no.
I think both teams say no because if they overvalue it or not, I think the Thunder love just that Ibaka's been here forever. They like the continuity and they, you know,
you cannot replace Serge Ibaka for what he does
defensively.
I mean, in terms of being a 6'10" power forward who can shoot the three and block shots and do it at incredible rates, both of them.
Yeah.
You don't replace that.
I think the Thunder need to rely on two things moving forward. They need, and they're not things you're super, you know, want to rely on, but I think number one is Serge Ibaka just needs to play better, more consistently, more energized, and you just got to hope that in the playoffs when he's, you know, sensing a title and the energy's ramped up, he just kind of returns from a defensive standpoint because he may not be given what he used to, but you just got to hope that it's still in the tank. And then number two, unless they get a wing, which I'm not sure they will, their playoff hopes may hinge on Dion Waiters showing up more often than he doesn't show up. I'm not sure that's a good thing, but I think that's what they've been dealt. Because when he shows up, then they're a complete team.
I'm not sure the Hawks wouldn't do this from a money standpoint. Paul Millsap's making $19 million, then $20 million. Then he's got a player option for $21. And Serge is only on the books for 2 more years.
Okay, I got a question.
At 12.
Because Millsap doesn't sound like he's on the market. How about if it was Al Horford?
It's Billy's boy.
How about if you said no waiters and it was Horford? The thing with reason why I don't think the Thunder do that is Horford's about to be a free agent and Ibaka still has another year.
There were a couple trades that people threw out there that included Horford. The problem that I saw with them that made it pretty unrealistic was that it also included Korver. Like, you're not going to get Horford and Korver for Ibaka and waiters or, you know, whatever those scenarios were.
I kind of agree, but at the same time, I think the Hawks are definitely shopping Horford with the idea that
Al Horford's
they
an
might not
all-star.
sign him.
Like, I mean, they can get more than Serge Ibaka and Dion Waiters for Al Horford and Kyle Korver. So, but anyway, that Paul Millsap one to me was intriguing. Here's another one, and these next two actually came from the same guy. So, Ibaka, I understand.
I love how down the Thunder fan base is on Serge. Like, he's making $12.5 million the next 2 seasons. 12.25, whatever.
Which is the thing that I liked about the Thaddeus Young deal, because he's still on a. I think he's got another year after Ibaka's expires, and it's a cheap deal. So with the cap going up, that can actually give you more room to play with Durant and Westbrook and whoever else you might want to bring in. So that was also intriguing.
Do it in the offseason.
And he's only 20. Like, Thaddeus Young is still only 26 years old, like 26,
and he
27.
still only shoots 21% from 3.
Anyway, all right. So off of that trade, I think I know what both of you guys will say about this one. Serge Ibaka straight up for Ryan Anderson.
No.
Serge
Ibaka is not the shooter Ryan Anderson is, but he's a lot closer to the shooter Ryan Anderson is than Ryan Anderson is the defender.
Right. So everyone
Ryan Anderson's like, look,
yeah.
I don't feel like saying this because I talked like, you know, I had a really good one-on-one interview with him the other day about Monty Williams.
Now you like him.
Seems like a fantastic guy, but he's kind of soft. You know, you see him the other day. Steven Adams just like taking rebounds from him. Just, you talk about not being able to play in a Warriors series.
I wanted the Thunder to draft him back then when
what
he was
did
coming
he go
out.
overall?
Oh, I think he was in the 20s.
Well, then that's a fantastic pick. He's still a good player and useful, but anyone who's thinking Ibaka for Anderson straight up, and another thing, Anderson's a free agent, and Serge is on a cheap deal next year. I mean, good deal. Next one. Do you got one that doesn't have Serge?
I think this is the last one with Serge, so let's see. My personal favorite. Ibaka and Robertson for Markieff Morris and T.J. Warren.
Chief Keef. T.J. Warren would be for next year, huh?
T.J. Warren can play.
Because T.J. Warren's out, right?
Is he out?
I think he's out for this year.
Yeah, he broke his foot. So, you know, he just has this little problem that Rondé Hollis Jefferson has. You know, it's a minor issue.
Chief Keef. That's terrifying.
Okay, let's first get this out of the way. There is a 0% chance the Thunder will trade or acquire Markieff Morris.
They're going to get Marcus too? They're going to bring Marcus in too?
Just, that's not happening.
No.
But at the same time, I mean, we can argue it from a standpoint. Do you think skill set to skill set, Serge Ibaka or Markieff Morris, who do you think fits the Thunder better?
I think this team, because so many guys don't seem to want to play defense consistently. They need Serge more just simply because of that. But I think Markieff Morris could potentially make them a more dangerous team. I think he would be more of an impactful player for this team than Serge Ibaka. Because Serge is going to give you what he gives you, and that's going to be the occasional jump shot and the occasional block shot. But when you've got,
I think you underestimate his ability to switch on guards.
Here's the problem with Serge.
So
I don't. But here's the problem I see with Serge, and it's more of a everyone else problem than it is a Serge problem. If you've got 10 guys going to the lane, and he rejects 3 of them, you still got 7 other guys going to the lane. So it's sort of a math problem, and the Thunder's defense is so inconsistent, and I'm trying to stop myself from saying so bad because I don't think it's that bad, but it is pretty bad. But it's so inconsistent that it's almost like a layup drill at times, and if it's not a layup, then it's a three-pointer. You know, if it's not a three-pointer, it's a second chance point. So if it's not that, it's transition. There's so many issues that Ibaka alone can't clean it up.
This isn't a good sign for a team that wants to win a title. But what I do see from following this team all season is that they have a switch defensively. You know, they hold the Suns to 19 in the first quarter. They're engaged. They're energized. Durant's out there playing well. Westbrook, obviously, we know his on and off button defensively. Serge looks engaged. And then they get up 28-19, and they just shut it down.
Yeah.
And they go, you know,
Phoenix make like 15 of 19 shots in the second quarter or something.
They scored
like
on
that?
15 straight possessions.
That's ridiculous.
And it was just, it's just like a team that was just toying with him. And they, you know, I can understand it somewhat within a long NBA season. I just think it happens a little too much with this team. And then the other thing is, I think their offense has become so good that they just sometimes feel like they can trade baskets.
I think Markieff Morris, and you guys know, I've talked to you guys about this.
You
unsolicited.
overrate Markieff Morris.
Unsolicited, I've talked to you guys about this like for the past 2 weeks.
Unsolicited.
So the thing I really like about Markieff Morris, aside from he might be a little bit of a nut basket.
I was going to say, is it the thing you like that he pushes his teammates on the bench, that he throws towels at coaches?
Or demands trades.
Yeah.
It's been a rough year. It's been a rough year for him.
Or doesn't try for 2 weeks. Then
but here's what I like about him.
He scores 34.
He is a matchup nightmare. And no one on this team outside of Kevin Durant can do what he does. You know, Russell Westbrook in his own way.
I was going to say, like,
but Markieff Morris takes you inside and he can take you
nightmare.
outside. That's the thing that I really love about his game. And no one in the league can match up with that dude.
I feel like he's like a elongated version of Deion Waiters in a sense when I'm looking at his numbers though. Like he's not really that good of a shooter.
Well, one thing you got to remember with his numbers this year is like he was not trying at all when Jeff Hornacek was the coach, which is another thing in itself. Which I was going to say, like, is another argument for the Thunder
would never go after Markieff Morris. I don't think. Just doesn't seem like his type of guy. But we've never seen him on a true, like truly good team or a true contender. So, you know, you never know how that might change the dynamic for a guy like that.
I just don't think you risk what you have and know with Serge Ibaka for like a chance on on what you think is a slight upgrade, which I would assume the Thunder don't think is an upgrade.
I would agree with you.
I think that trade is really insulting to Serge Ibaka too. And I know you can't think that way in terms of being a GM. Like you can't look at a guy's past track record and then say, okay, we're insulting him for trading him for Markieff Morris, but that's a really insulting thing. Looking at like,
I don't care.
Yeah, I know.
Why do I care? I'm trading the guy. Trading the guy is insulting.
GMs don't care either. GMs don't care.
Some of them do. That's one of the biggest maybe problems that Daryl Morey's had in the last couple of years is that he's almost treated his players too much as like math equations.
Yeah,
and he created a toxic Rockets locker room that coach fired this and that. So I mean, that is one of the. That is just a major ingredient within a team is like Ibaka's been here, they know him, he fits into the culture, he knows it. Or, with 2 months until the biggest playoffs ever in this franchise's history, you just throw Markieff Morris in and take Serge Ibaka away. And hey,
I don't think that'll sit well with Westbrook and Durant. I don't think that would if they traded Ibaka.
You don't think what?
I don't think that'll sit well with Westbrook and Durant at this point.
No, unless you brought in like
I mean, you'd have to bring
for
in
Marquise
You'd have to bring
Morris.
more
You
than
gotta
Marquise
bring in
Morris
some-
and
yeah.
T.J. Warren on a
Yeah.
boot. Oh wait, I didn't know he broke his foot. I probably should have done some research before.
It's like, oh, okay, Paul Gasol. I mean, this guy's been places. Like, he's gonna fit into his. But you bring in Marquise Morris, like,
Ooh, these are coming from the two guys who love PJ Tucker. Didn't you guys sit on this podcast last time and talk about PJ Tucker and like rave about him?
yeah, because guess what? We weren't trading for PJ Tucker, the starting power forward for the Thunder.
yeah, you can get PJ
we were
Tucker
trading
with some
Mitch McGary and DJ Augustine.
Yeah,
All right. So speaking of Mitch McGary, here's one for you.
Here we go. Now we're gonna get into some more
We're
realistic.
we're off the Serge Ibaka.
Had to
okay?
prepare
We're off the
yourself.
Serge Ibaka.
You had to prepare
I had to
yourself
get that out.
emotionally
I had to get that out
to get ready to deal Mitch McGary.
You're right. You're right.
Okay.
Because the
Just
guy
make
should
sure.
be playing. Anyway.
okay,
Go Blue.
well let's start there.
For
Should the
someone.
guy be playing?
For someone, he should be playing. For someone.
I think he's talented. I think he does things that no other big on this roster can do. I think he does things that not a lot of bigs in the league can do.
He also doesn't do things well that a lot of bigs in the league do.
Well, that's true. That's true. And maybe that's what's holding him back. I don't know, but based on what we saw last year, the guy clearly has a lot of skill. I don't even want to say potential. He's got a lot of skill, and he can bring a lot of things to the game.
He's an NBA player.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 21-10 in his first real game against the Clippers, then 19-10 the next night. What did he have? Maybe like 7 double-doubles in the last 2 months? I mean, like, I'd have to look at the front courts in the NBA, but I would assume Mitch McGary would be a rotation player on 25 teams at least. Maybe a little less than that. But like there are a ton of teams out there that should take a chance on McGary, especially if they're a Suns type team where there's plenty of holes to throw him in and try to develop him. Because as you mentioned, can pass, can score, he's big, can run, can rebound, struggles defensively, but so many bigs do.
Yeah, especially young bigs. I mean,
Yeah.
very few young bigs come into the league or bigs come into the league knowing exactly what to do defensively.
His issue is just what's ahead of him, and that is Steven Adams and Serge Ibaka, established, very good NBA players that are better than Mitch McGary, and his Kanter, a very needed offensive weapon off the bench that's getting paid $17 million, and then Kevin Durant's ability to play the power forward.
Okay, so here's one involving Mitch McGary and not Serge Ibaka. Enes Kanter, Mitch McGary, and Deion Waiters for
That's a lot of money.
Chris Middleton, who just got a lot of money.
Number one,
Tristan
Enes
Calabro,
Kanter.
thanks for that suggestion.
Kristen Calabro, sorry.
Tristan Calabro.
I apologize.
I don't know
I
how
apologize.
to say his last
I
name.
apologize for completely abolishing your trade, but Enes Kanter has a no trade clause, and he's not going to the Milwaukee Bucks.
That
So.
is true.
Well, he can't be traded without his consent.
And
That's
he's
a
not going to
lie.
consent to go to the Milwaukee Bucks.
He might. But here's the only problem.
No,
Here's the problem I
trust
see with
me.
that. They got Greg Monroe and
If
John
that means
Henson.
he's leaving his beloved Russell
They
Westbrook,
got
he
Greg
ain't
Monroe and John Henson. So
He might
Milwaukee's
wanna
got
play with Michael
pretty
Carter
much
Williams.
little reason to do that trade.
And Enes Kanter's like desperately wants to play in the playoffs. He may not want to be on this team long term if he's going to be a bench player or whatever, but like he wants to play out this year. He's super happy in this city playing with Russell Westbrook, experiencing winning.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just for this season, but like there's no shot he's going to a non-contender. And it's his choice and his choice alone.
That
Yeah,
being
I
said,
don't know.
I love Chris Middleton.
I'm just saying, Enes Kanter can't be in that deal. There's
No.
zero shot he's accepting a trade in Milwaukee.
If Milwaukee said, "Yeah, we're gonna go get you, and we're gonna move Greg Monroe to the power forward spot, and you're gonna get the starting center spot,
He'd say,
and we're gonna play you together,
He'd say,
and we're gonna give you 35 minutes a night."
He'd say, "Can you do it in the summer? I'm really enjoying being on a 40-14 team with my best buddy Russell. He comes over and plays NBA Live with me and eats mukalabi, and I've never won a playoff game.
When are
in
we
my
gonna go get
entire
our
career."
mukalabi? Is that what is that? I don't even know. When are we gonna get that?
I honestly could anytime you really
I
want,
hope you
and they're in
pronounced
town.
that right. I really hope you pronounced that right.
I apologize if I didn't. My point is like I'm not sure there's a team in the league that he'd accept a trade to right now.
Okay, all right. Eric, your thoughts? You like Chris Middleton?
I really like Chris Middleton because I saw him light up the Thunder. But as Anthony said, that's the one catch to that. I mean, he's not gonna okay a trade to the Milwaukee Bucks.
My thing is, isn't Chris Middleton just Kevin Durant light? I mean, he is.
Well, a lot of players are Kevin Durant light.
But I mean,
Morris is Kevin Durant light.
Yeah, but Chris Middleton's like a 3, and really only a 3. He does everything Durant does, just at a lesser level.
Okay, did you keep Serge Ibaka in that trade? Did we keep Serge Ibaka in that trade?
No, Serge Ibaka was not in that trade.
Okay, slide Serge to the 5. Play Kevin Durant.
You don't have a 2 now.
Play one
Waiters
in.
was in that trade.
Okay, you play one guy in. You
What do
play
you mean
4
you
on the
don't
perimeter.
And you know what else you don't have in that trade? Which this trade that won't happen because he won't accept it. You also don't have Enes Kanter anymore, which
Middleton can
he's
play
kind of important.
Middleton can play shooting guard. I think he starts as a shooting guard for Milwaukee.
No,
I think he does.
I'm about to
I'm pretty
look.
sure they do.
Carter Williams, the Greek freak.
OJ Mayo.
Yeah, they
Mayo.
start Middleton as shooting guard
Yeah.
because they play Parker at 4 and they play Greek Freak at 3. Or those guys are
And
interchangeable.
Monroe's a center.
And Monroe's a center. Middleton's a shooting guard.
Move on and get Enes Kanter out of any of these deals,
So, okay.
unless he's going to like.
You don't want to hear this next one.
What if Enes Kanter is like a closet Green Bay Packers fan? Like, what if he would just be like, "Oh, I am so delighted to be in the same city."
You
as
want to know
Aaron
something
Rodgers."
funny? The only argument you have on this is Enes Kanter's little brother's like I don't know if he still is, but was on Milwaukee Green Bay college team. So you know,
That's fascinating.
It is kind of interesting.
Okay.
But sorry, he
How you say
can
this
go
guy's
visit him in
last
the
name?
offseason.
Caballero?
Bruno Cabalco, I believe.
Tristan?
Caballero.
Caballero?
Caballero.
I
that's a
think-
double L.
Tristan Caballero.
I don't know who that is.
Okay.
That's the guy who gave us the trade.
Okay, I
Thanks
thought you
for
were
him.
trying to say this
And
is
the
the
other
guy in the trade.
No,
I
no,
was
the
like,
other
I don't
guy
think
was
the Thunder
Gary
are interested.
Biddy. He's on Twitter at plagiarize Gary.
Oh,
So he was one with 3 of those Ibaka
You
trades.
sure you didn't plagiarize some of those trades?
Okay, here's one more for Canner.
Oh, jeez.
Canner and Josh Eustace
oh, Josh Houston.
for Avery Bradley and Amir Johnson. Eric Lee, thanks for the suggestion.
See, you'd have more of an argument that Enes Kanter would go to the Celtics because they're a winning team and they don't have a as established a front court. But I just think he says no. Like
Celtics hang up on that one.
Really?
Celtics hang up on that one. Who's the second guy in the Celtics?
Amir
deal?
Johnson.
Bradley and Johnson.
I don't think the Celtics want to be paying Kanter $17 million.
Celtics hang up on
right
that.
now, and the Celtics need like a bigger star. That's kind of their
They
move.
got Kevin Love rumors out there floating
Yeah,
around for him.
plus their guard situation right now with the Bradley Smart and everything they got going there is working. So
Okay, here's 2 without Canner, without Ibaka. One is the Thunder in Houston. Deion Waiters and DJ Augustine for Trevor Ariza and Marcus Thornton.
How does that money work? That's $8 million for Waiters and Augustine.
Thornton must not be getting paid much. Augustine is what, 3, and Waiters is 5,
Five
almost
point
6.
something.
So
How does that money work?
Yeah.
Because Ariza's making 8.
it works. Thornton must not be
Thornton
getting
might
paid
be
much.
Thornton might be on a vet minimum.
Yeah, he might get 900,000 or something.
But Trevor Ariza is really good. I mean,
1.1.
Trevor Ariza would have to play shooting guard, and if you're comfortable with that, because you're losing Waiters there.
He's making 8.1 this year.
It's intriguing. I don't
It'll
know.
help the Thunder in small ball lineups.
I don't know that the Rockets would do that. Trevor Ariza is kind of one of their few really
Yeah,
good.
on paper, it's a terrible trade for Houston.
Yeah, and Trevor Ariza is not a chemistry issue. He's a good player, very good player that contributes. Plays every night, doesn't get hurt, doesn't really at least from the outside looking in, doesn't seem to be an issue. I don't see Houston making that trade.
Here's why it's on the list. What if Houston is trying to shed salary for this upcoming summer's Kevin Durant pursuit?
Then you're gonna help them do that?
Doesn't mean you're going to get him.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think they're a little bit loony to think that because I think Durant would want to go to a lot more stable situation than Houston. I think if it was last offseason, they'd have a better chance. Houston was coming off the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Things seem to be working there. But how this season has imploded on Houston, I don't know why Durant would want to go to that unstable of a
And we're all on the record
environment.
saying that we think he's going to stay here, sign the 1 year
the 1
deal.
year thing.
Houston offers no upside to the Thunder as they currently stand.
What do you mean?
What would Durant gain by going? Let's say even Houston hypothetically keeps.
Oh,
Dwight
you're saying
How-
for Durant.
Let's say they hypothetically keep Dwight Howard, and then they have a Durant, Harden, Howard, big 3. Are we okay? I know this is going to sound like blasphemy, but are we even that sure that we take Dwight Howard over Steven Adams right now? And we've talked about this, Anthony. Don't leave me out there by myself. We've talked about this.
Yeah. We did talk about this, and like I told you, this wasn't a "Hey, Steven Adams is so good" type of argument.
Sounds like it.
This was a.
I'm waiting.
This was a. Dwight Howard's really not that good. Like if I watch both players, like I'd probably rather have Steven Adams.
You would do it for money purposes and for his age purposes. Age and money.
And really,
finances.
as a winning team.
Age, locker room, money.
Well, yeah, all that plus like even the court value where it's like Steven Adams is going to play really solid team defense. He's a good post defender. He's getting a lot better at like getting out on guards. Like I said,
I hear you. I didn't
really
wake me up when Steven Adams has the impact that Dwight Howard did in the playoffs last year. Then we can talk about how good Steven Adams is.
Well, I mean, Houston's not going to make the playoffs, so we're never going to see that.
Like I said, I really didn't want this to be like a hey, Steven Adams become really good. I just Dwight Howard's really not that good.
He's the Marquise Morris of centers. Like Sam Presti's never gonna would never go out and get that guy.
Plus the free throw shooting just like throws it off, and then
Steven Adams is a great free throw shooter.
He actually is like 65.
He's better than Dwight Howard.
Dwight Howard came in here and the Thunder probably should have lost to the Rockets, and then they completely got back in the game because Dwight Howard went 2 of 11 in the first half.
They're both bad free throw shooters.
Adams is actually much better.
He's better, but they're both bad free throw shooters.
Teams never hack Steven Adams.
That's not true.
It has happened before, but like if we looked at instances they hack Howard compared to instances they hack Adams, it's like way different. And then the other problem with Howard is like, he kind of wants touches and he wants post moves and like he's
okay. Why are we talking about Dwight Howard? The trade that who is it? Nick Spencer. Thanks for the suggestion. Waiters and Augustine.
I just had to get that
Ariza and Marcus Thornton.
I just had to get that off my chest about Dwight Howard.
I don't even want to name Steven Adams. I feel like there's some other centers I could name that people would be like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'd rather have than Dwight Howard. But you're right. I don't want to talk about Dwight Howard. My point in all this is he's not that good, and he's like demanding the max this offseason. Like you're gonna give that for like $25 million.
I'm fascinated by Ariza. I mean, he can hit the corner three. He can defend. He's got that championship. He's got that championship experience.
Love him.
I do too, and that's why this trade doesn't make sense because Houston
wouldn't do it. You would think, unless they're trying to get rid of his guaranteed money and bring in some expiring contracts, which we've been talking about, don't have as nearly the value that they used to. But
they could trade Trevor Ariza. They could trade Trevor Ariza anytime because he's good and
they could get probably more than Waiters and Augustine.
Yeah. I'd say.
Here's the problem. Let me just pause these scenarios and say, you guys are trying to like poo-poo on all of these trades. You don't want to put Ibaka in them. You don't want to put. You're saying Canner's not going to go in anything. All you guys are willing to trade, and I'm talking to the fans too here, is DJ Augustine, Mitch McGary, Kyle Singler, Anthony Morrow. Like the Thunder's garbage for something of substance. That's not going to work.
But this is the thing too: is the Thunder going to be willing to trade anything but garbage when they have an established core that's won 40 games?
Well, that's why we all think the Thunder's not going to make much of a move.
Well, one of two things here. If I'm the Thunder, I make that trade you just put down, the Ariza one.
Well, yeah.
But that's not going to get offered. So that's the number one thing. Like, I'm not poo-pooing these trades from the Thunder side.
I would try to go out and get Trevor Ariza from Sam Presti.
Yeah, I would too. But I'm just saying.
I'd start there.
And the Rockets would say, start somewhere else.
Throw in some, Thunder's picks are.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. They don't have 2 first round. And then my other thing here is, like, if they do not make a move, by Thursday's deadline, they're still title contenders. I wouldn't be overly critical of them. I would just assume a good deal didn't present itself because I don't think there's one out there.
Well, you can't be overly critical of them, but you can assume that they're not championship material, that they're not going to win the championship this year. But
I'm not sure there's a move out there that has. I mean, you're talking like Ibaka for Marquise Morris and a dude with a broken foot.
I'm reading you what the guy said.
They're going to beat the Warriors now.
I'm reading you what Gary Biddy at Plagiarized Gary proposed. I'm not saying they're going to trade him.
Now, Darnell Mayberry, give me a trade right now that another team would accept that the Thunder should do that would vault them into the Warriors-Spurs category.
I have no idea. Here's another trade. You guys don't like that one? All right. Austin
I told you I do like that one from a
Hang on. Settle down. Austin Wolschlager, Dion Waiters, and DJ Augustine for Hollis Thompson and Isaiah Cannon.
I mean, Isaiah Cannon will not play on this team, so I mean...
DJ Augustine didn't play.
That's true, so they just negate each other there. So what you're saying is Hollis Thompson...
Hollis Thompson for Dion Waiters. Much better three-point shooter. Probably not nearly the defender Dion Waiter is.
Remember what the issue on this team is?
Defense.
Yeah. I'd probably say no. Well, what's Hollis Thompson's contract situation?
Cheap.
$900,000 47,000.
38% three-point shooter. I don't know. He's in Philly. He's kind of an unknown.
It's interesting because he's not an unknown because he was in camp with the Thunder about 3 years ago, and they had a chance at him. He actually played, I believe, for the Oklahoma City Blue. So the Thunder knows him well. I don't think they like him more than Deion Waiters, especially for a team that has championship hopes this year. But it's a little intriguing, mildly.
I'd have to know more about Hollis Thompson and his defense, but I really do like what Waiters has given them defensively, so I think I'd probably say no.
Okay, here's some garbage for you guys. This is this is the point of the program we've come to. Mitch McGary and Steve Novak for Marco Bellinelli. Sean Bean
that's
with the suggestion.
You know, I think the one issue there is Marco Bellinelli just signed like a long-term contract. I'd have to look. And I'm not sure they want to eat up any money with Marco Bellinelli.
Your boy can shoot.
He's about 30, 29, 30. No, it's not that big. Oh, wait, yeah, it is. Well, he's under contract 3 years for the next 3 years for $6 million and a little bit over $6 million. I don't think they want to have Marco Bellinelli under contract for the next 3 years at $6 million. He really has. He's kind of fallen out of the rotation a little bit in Sacramento. He's having a bad year. So
he don't have a bad year when he plays Oklahoma City.
I think you could maybe get a little bit more for what was that trade? McGary and Augustine?
McGary and Novak.
Okay. You know,
so basically you're saying you get more from McGary.
The trade I'm going to keep going back to is McGary Augustine for PJ Tucker. I don't know if the Suns do that. But I'd rather have P.J. Tucker than Marco Bellinelli. And that's basically the same trade. So if that's what you can get, that's what you can get. But
I'd rather have 2 years of P.J. Tucker than 3 years of Bellinelli.
Oh, 100%.
Agreed. Jess Sinkula. I can't pronounce any of these people's names. I apologize.
Thank you, Jess.
Anthony Morrow and Mitch McGary for Courtney Lee.
I'm not sure Memphis says yes. I don't mind that from a Thunder perspective. I mean, you lose McGary, who's not playing. Morrow, who has that skill that's very coveted, but he's really, he's kind of in and out of the rotation. I like Courtney Lee. I think that the Grizzlies would say...
Who would you rather have, Courtney Lee or P.J. Tucker?
P.J. Tucker.
Because there was a lot of people that put Courtney Lee down, P.J. Tucker, and Avery Bradley. Those three were like the biggest
P.J. Tucker.
Courtney Lee got really hot in the past month or two, but P.J. Tucker to me is not even like a production thing for me. It's like a mentality thing.
Well, to me, it's a defensive thing. I mean, that's what they need. To me, he's a more important, better defender than Courtney Lee is, which is what matters at the two.
How would you play P.J. Tucker? You guys might have talked about this.
I'd play him.
How would you play him?
I think I'd play him off the bench, and I'd start Waiters, and I'd. If he's having a good game and he's needed defensively, I'd give him 20-something minutes, especially against a team like the Warriors. I really think he'd have to hit threes. I feel like my view of him may be jaded because he came in Oklahoma City like D'd up, talked stuff to Westbrook, kind of threw him off his game a little bit, then hit a bunch of threes. He scored like 20-something points, and then back in Phoenix again, he didn't hit as many threes, but he just was impressive from a physical standpoint on guards. And even on Durant. Like, he's a versatile defender, which is what I like. You mentioned the name in those two. You added Avery Bradley into it. I mean, I'd rather have Avery Bradley out of those three, but it would take a lot more than, like, McGary and Augustine for that.
Lightning round for these last two. DJ Augustine, Mitch McGary, Andre Robertson for Gerald Henderson.
3 guys for Gerald Henderson?
Yep. Michael Milligan. Thanks.
No.
I don't really like Gerald Henderson.
No. Okay, last one, and this is mildly intriguing here. Courtesy of John Corey B. DJ Augustine, Mitch McGary, and Steve Novak for Gravis Vasquez and Miles Plumlee.
I like Miles Plumlee.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's the lesser Plumlee, right?
Yeah. Well, no, and not in my opinion. That's not the other one's on Portland. He's with Damian Lillard now. Mason's on Portland.
Yeah, I like Mason better.
Yeah, I mean he is a better player, but I just remember one time it was when me and Darnell were covering together, and
You said some outlandish statement. I wish I could remember right now.
Miles Plumlee came. I don't think it was an outlandish statement. I just think
it was highly outlandish.
I think Miles Plumlee had like 6 and 10 in the first quarter or something. I think I just said, "Yo, Miles Plumlee can ball," and he just always used to make fun of me for it. But
so Augustine, McGarry, and Novak for Vasquez and Plumlee.
I mean, look, Miles Plumlee ain't playing on this team. So it's basically those 3 for Vasquez.
They can do better.
I mean, I don't really think Vasquez is playing on this team, not with Payne and Westbrook. Like, he's not a 2. So, no. I mean, that's 3 guys that aren't playing for 2 guys that aren't playing.
Darnell, do you happen to have that one you had that involved some Magic players?
Yeah, it was like Tobias. I mean, it was.
It's far-fetched, but I like the thought of it.
It was extremely far-fetched. It goes back to what Slater said before. It's like, it's a little, it's really unrealistic, but it's intriguing. I'd have to kind of pull it up. You guys talk about some other stuff.
Fantasyland. Look, we should probably end this podcast soon. But my question to both of you is, what do you think is going to happen by Thursday deadline for the Thunder, and what do you think should happen? You don't have to give me a specific trade, but just like, what do you think is going to happen?
I don't think anything's going to happen, to be honest with you guys. I just think this team is still figuring itself out. Sam Presti wants to see what he's got. He wants a full season of continuity, health, and development under a new coach, playing a new style. And I just don't think that he's going to make a trade. I mean, we've kind of gone through all the options that are kind of out there. Some guys don't have trade value. Some guys can't be traded without their consent. Other guys are cornerstones that just aren't going anywhere. So he doesn't have many options unless, you want to throw in like Alex Abrinish, who I don't think they're going to trade, things like that. I just don't think they're going to make a move. And if it is, it's probably going to be like something really, really minor like Steve Novak and Mitch McGarry for peanuts.
For some wing help. That's
that's not going to play like a Ryan Gomes or a who's the other guy that they brought in here?
Gomes.
No, I'm saying like when they brought him in a couple years ago, like a name like that.
All right.
Or
I was like,
what was the other guy who came in here who had the funky looking shot? I can't even think of his name anymore.
Ronnie Brewer,
like a Ronnie Brewer or a Ryan Gomes type.
Shot.
It's going to be Mitch McGarry and Steve Novak for peanuts like that. So. Short of that, I mean, I don't even think they trade Augustine because he's a very, very, very steady third-string point guard.
Yeah, I mean, he just have to be in a deal that they like for monetary reasons. Yeah, I could see nothing happen. I could see something minor happening, as you mentioned. But I'm struggling to see a big deal taking place. And I don't think Sam Presti feels like one needs to be made. Last year, there was desperation, the Reggie Jackson situation, the injuries, he needed to make a big move, and he did. This year, it's not there. It's just not there.
I feel like, if anything, they might wait and see who gets bought out, and we might see a guy get picked up after the trade deadline, like they've done in the past with a Caron Butler or Derek Fisher.
Okay, you mentioned that. Sounds like Joe Johnson's probably going to get bought out. Would that interest either you? ISO Joe thrown on the team that gets criticized for its isolation?
Yes.
I'm all about improving your talent, and that would be an increase in talent.
I would love to get a guy that's been in the league as long as Joe Johnson has the size to defend multiple positions potentially, and would relish the chance to get to play with good players again.
And just like in a game that matters.
Yeah, like he hasn't played a game that matters in how long? I mean, you see
since he was on the no, I mean like they were in the playoffs the last few years, but like
if you could even get like a Darren Williams-esque revival from him, like Darren Williams has shown in Dallas at times this year. I mean, he was on that terrible Nets team.
Yeah, and it's an area that's needed, which is like wing. He could play some too. I don't think he'd choose Oklahoma City. I think he'd look somewhere he could play more, a Miami or something like that. But he's a name.
You don't think he'd start here?
No, I don't. No. I think they'd view him as like a scorer off the bench.
I think if he wants,
which isn't an issue. I'm not saying he couldn't play with the stars. I just don't think he would start.
If he gets bought out and he wants a ring, I mean, why wouldn't Oklahoma City be his number one option?
If he gets bought out and wants a ring, he'd go to Golden State.
That is true, but he ain't gonna play. He could play in Oklahoma City. He ain't gonna play in Golden State.
ISO Joe.
ISO Joe. I didn't name him that. That was you.
No, I didn't name him that either. That's his nickname. All right. Anything else? Anything just eating at you about this team, Darnell? Or did you already kind of take care of that with your Serge Ibaka,
No,
like
it's
9
not,
trades
it's not
you
just
tried
Serge.
to...
I mean, the defense has got to improve. I mean, we've talked about it before, and it's still an issue. And until they improve defensively, it doesn't matter what they're going to do in trades or free agency or anything. I mean, they got to improve defensively if they want to be a serious contender.
They open up the second half on Friday night with the Pacers on ESPN here at home, and then Sunday, really intriguing game, LeBron James and the Cavs coming to town, 2:30 tip. And there's a lot of good games in the second half, including the Warriors in Oklahoma City for the only time, February 27th, Saturday night. Enjoy the second half. Enjoy the trade deadline. Refresh Twitter. We'll talk to you again next week.
Durant, pull-up jumper, up the rim, and and the Thunder win! All right, come on, let's sing the Thunder song. When you hear the sound of thunder, don't you get too scared. Just grab your Thunder Buddy and say these magic words.